Time to Hunt is a movie that was on my radar. I think I saw an article about it online somewhere. It's a Korean crime thriller film that falls into my favorite subgenre, humans hunting humans for sport. However, this movie is a bit of a letdown. Let's begin with the plot. The movie takes place in a futuristic dystopian Korea in which the Korean economy is shot, so no one wants the won anymore. Everyone wants Korean dollars. Two friends are awaiting the release of their friend Jeon Suk, and he went to prison and took all the blame. So he's been in prison for 3 years. So they sort of inform him of how the world is working now. And he talks about when he was in prison, he heard about, if we go to Taiwan or anywhere else, there's, they have beautiful beaches. It's not like smoggy Korea. And we need $200,000 to do it, though. So they go, we don't have that. Meanwhile, he also bumps into an old friend named Sang-soo. Sang-soo works at a gambling house and owes him some money. And so they start threatening him and they say, we want our money. And when he says, I can't pay, they say, why don't you help us rob the place? We're going to do one big score. We'll buy some guns, rob the gambling house of all their US dollars, hightail it out to anywhere else but here. So that's the plot. It's a basic heist to begin. The heist goes off without a hitch. However, the people that run the gambling house, they don't like this, obviously, and they hire a specialist, Mr. Han, to go after the boys. And they find themselves being hunted by, a really talented and relentless killer. So this movie has... let's discuss what I liked. Ooh, wow, I don't like anything. Okay, let's start with what I didn't like then, and I'll work my way back to that. So the futuristic whole dystopian Korea thing is a really cool set dressing, but it doesn't do anything. It doesn't have any thematic weight to the story or anything. It doesn't enrich the story. It's kind of like one of those, we just put it in a dystopian future just for the hell of it, and it doesn't really do anything to affect the movie. It doesn't enrich or enhance the storyline or go with it anyway. Another movie that does this is Fast Color, a sort of indie superhero story that also takes place in a dystopian future, but that also doesn't do anything for the story. So Time to Hunt has, that set dressing, but it doesn't do anything. It probably just raised the budget a lot. You could have done this movie in present day and it wouldn't have mattered. Another thing is the characters are really stupid. The four kids, or not kids, let's just say four criminals. The four criminals are dumbasses. Mainly because after they commit this heist, Jeon Seok gets a phone call from their arms dealers, and he sounds weird on the phone because he's asking them where they are and stuff. And that should be a huge red flag. But instead of doing anything about it, he just doesn't. He just doesn't tell his friends about, their arms dealer, calling them out of the blue. And then when Sang-soo decides to go back to work so he doesn't look suspicious, they are suspicious of him and he runs away. He doesn't call them immediately to say anything. Instead, he gets attacked by Mr. Han. And then they later get jumped by Mr. Han and he lets them go because he wants to hunt them. He's already finished his mission. He's already accomplished what his bosses wanted. Now he's just having fun with them. So that's probably the best part of the movie. It's very atmospheric. The second half of the movie is basically just a hunt because the main villain is just a sadistic asshole who just wants to kill them because he's bored. And so that's probably the aspect I like best about the movie. However, there are also more problems I have with the film. There's these pretentious dream sequences that happen throughout the film that don't really pay off. And there's also a pacing issue because the movie's a little over 2 hours. And that's a long running time because a lot of the screen time is just devoted to them driving away and waiting. And then, of course, the biggest insult is that the movie's ending is very weak and very unsatisfying. We get this big shootout in the streets of an abandoned portside town. And then something happens off screen. And then, character comes back and says something to him. And a lot of the stuff in this movie happens off screen, and it comes off as pretentious. Maybe it's a budget issue, but it just comes off as lazy. They just don't show anything. They just have characters tell you another character about something that happened because they just didn't want to show it, I guess. So Time to Hunt has a intriguing premise. I really like the idea that it combined two of my favorite subgenres, dystopian futures and humans hunting humans for sport, but they don't really give you the best of both genres. It's not a good thriller. It just, they don't have futuristic guns or anything. The action sequences are pretty stupid because, you know, the characters don't use their numbers to, you know, number the main villain. And the ending is just ultimately very unsatisfying. So Time to Hunt has all the right elements, but does nothing right. So I give it a 2 out of 10.